Hello, theme park enthusiasts, and welcome back to Planet Coaster and to my Welcome to Derry area of the Warner Brothers Studios park. So, in this episode, we're going to continue working here underground. I've had some thoughts on a few things. I may change a few things up. I have decided I am probably going to leave this being Rodan over here because of the fact that I don't really feel I have anything else that fits that particular area that well. Now, I do have a plan for over in this little alcove, and it's going to be another portion that comes from the book, not something covered in any of the movies and such. While I'm talking here, just going to go ahead and paint the ground over here some, because we've got this ground that's green still. So we'll get it all painted to the concrete color. I am going to also do some, hopefully some discoloration and stuff on this area, and I'm also going to enclose it a bit more. So we're going to work on those things today. Basically, I'd like to get this area somewhat buttoned up if I can, along with this area over here. So we need to put in a dividing wall here. It's going to come in between these two areas. Well, sort of in between. Really doesn't have to be fully in between, because the lift hill just is the lift hill. It can actually be on the ground itself. So probably going to fill in a decent amount over here, and I'm going to work on this spider area more. I'm going to try a few different things. I'm not exactly happy with the roots that they used for the area around the spider web, and I think I might use more of the cobwebs that are in the game instead. See how I feel about those. So those are sort of some of the touch-up works I'm wanting to do today in this area. I'm hoping that by the end of it, I might get to the point where I feel that it's good under here and we can look at closing this up. Now with that, then we are going to get to the next area over here, which is we are going to have to start going up. Get off of that real fast. There we go. So that way I can move. But we are going to have to start going up this area. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is actually opening the ground up here, so that way I can get all the way up to it and work on it as I go. I also did have some thoughts above ground, so let's take a look up here. So I think there's going to be a few major changes that actually occur here. For one, this path may have to change because I think this path is going to change. The Kissing Bridge, I think, is going to end up moving over here. So big change there. The Kissing Bridge is actually going to be covering these two areas if it will fit. Gotta see if that is a possibility where it will work for it. But if it does, I would love for it to cover the road and such over here along with the pathway. I might have to play around with it a bit to make it work, but we'll see. If it doesn't fit for the road and stuff, I might do it separate for the bridge itself and have the roadway do something else. I am going to have this bridge here, but what I'm thinking is I'm going to change this area from being open the way it is into more of a cityscape that's going to hide the flume or the log ride in this area so that I can go ahead and put in the house for the older version of Stan. So that's a tomorrow problem type of situation. It's not something I'm going to work on today. Today we're going to be working underground. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and speed things up, and then I will get back with you at the end of the video so you can see what I've done, and I can talk you through my ideas. Alright, so let's cover what I did in this episode, and then we'll talk about what's coming in the next episode as well. So, I think I'm gonna probably... Well, I have to leave this wall because of the fact that the staircase is hidden behind it. So I don't really want people on the ride seeing the staircase, so that wall needs to be there. So, I went ahead and put in some lighting into the walls here, which might seem a bit odd, but if you actually read the novel, it talks about a sickly green light that seems to be coming out of the walls itself. It does say that the light is almost alive. I thought about going with these, let's see here, not the torches. I thought about torches for a moment, but it just didn't feel right for what I was wanting. I did think about going with these animated lights, but they just don't feel right. This needed to be something a bit more organic. So the look that's going to happen here, if we turn it to nighttime, you'll get a better idea. We won't have the moonlight over here, but so the room overall is going to have sort of a greenish glow to it. And also, if I turn off my light there, so it's going to have sort of this glow coming to it overall. And it's still going to have the focus being on the spider web. And we will get to the additions I made to the spider web there, but let's go ahead through here first. So these right now, as you saw, I went ahead and set up on the triggers because I want those set up properly in the way I want them. Let's go ahead and get that little bit there taken care of so it's proper color. This room probably is going to get some work in the next episode, but we will talk about that here in a little bit. So it didn't really change the Rodan area here. I just moved it slightly closer, and then I went ahead and put the trigger in for that. Now I might have to move the trigger or not. I will see when the time comes for that. But basically I want it to be just a quick scare as soon as you come down this drop. And then another thing that is talked about in the book that's never been mentioned in any of the movies is that Richie Tozier is afraid of a giant eye. He is scared about the eye because of the fact that he had so many issues with his own eyes and such growing up. And so there's a real fear that he has there of an eye. And so when the children are young, now this is the problem I have with both of these, but I wanted to sort of include these monsters in a way into the ride. So these are both things that happen when they were young. This part over here is when they are older, because primarily of the fact that I couldn't get characters that were the proper size for children. But I guess maybe at a distance here, you might even say that they're young. Who knows? But yeah, these are things that happened when they were younger. They actually faced the eye first, and then the bird. And you know, I mean, I could switch them around easy enough. It wouldn't be that challenging to do so. I will debate that before the next episode because I'm going to be working in this area still some. So I might have this as being the first time they faced it, and just say, even though these are adult figures, they're at a distance, and we're going to say that they're young. But anyways, they do face Rodan in the sewers, or below the sewers really, and they also do encounter Richie's fear, which is this eye. The eye sort of is a tentacle monster, evidently from an old movie, so that's why I did with the roots here. These are tentacles, and I wanted it to sort of be like this is the connection to the brain here that the eye would have. I'm not into anatomy that much, so I don't know what this is called exactly, but yeah, this is the stem that sort of comes out of the eye and goes to the brain. But I wanted to sort of see that this has mutated into a monster, and some of those branches have come off now as tentacles that will try to grab the riders. So that's what's going on here. We've got a triggerable light here, so that way it just gives a jump scare when you get to that part. Another thing you probably saw quite a bit of me doing was I wanted to make this a narrow cave that they have to go through in order to get to the dead spider. Now these lights over here are going to be on the entire time because this is where it is dead. And then they'll go ahead and start taking the lift up and out of this area. Then the final thing I did as far as sort of creative additions here is, yes, somebody else had created this. I did try removing the roots and stuff, and it just looked too much like a Ferris wheel then. I needed the clutter of the roots on it and such, and it was part of the reason that I went for what they had in the first place. Now, in the story and in the movie versions, there are a bunch of bodies suspended. Now, they would be probably throughout the room, but I went ahead and did it as a central figure because really this is what I want the people looking at. I don't want them looking all over the room. The room is not the important thing. This is the important thing over here. So even when I bring this roof in, I might condense it down some in this area because, as I said, I really want them looking more over here. So that is something I will probably consider, is bringing this roof in some. But with that, there are bodies suspended, so I just took some of the same stationary animatronics and put them on here. And I also had this one female character. She didn't work for what I had hoped for. If I can find one of her. Yeah, there it is. She didn't work for what I hoped for in being my version of Beverly, because you can't color her hair. But I do love the eyes and stuff. She sort of looks like she's seen the deadlights and she's sort of out of it. So I put a couple of versions of her into the webbing, and then I just attached them with cobwebs. I added cobwebs to the overall cobweb to give it a bit of a more lively feel, I hope, to it. And so that will be going on there. And as I had said before, this is a ride. People will be getting onto this ride while people are on the log ride that goes around as well. So I do want that sort of going on. I've got to think about that some in relation to closing this in, because it is sort of what these people are going to look at is the people on the log ride. So I need to sort of possibly keep that as visible for them, and I probably will end up doing that. So big things for the next episode here. The more I think about it, I probably will end up switching Rodan and the eye, so that the eye is pretty much right here as a jump scare once you get off of the giant drop, and then Rodan will be, I'll actually open up this area some, even though I just spent all this time closing it in. So Rodan can be over here a little bit more, and that way they're in order as they appeared in the book. Then in both cases, for the drop and over on the other area for the lift that gets out of this area, I am going to attempt to create a squared off or rounded, I haven't decided yet, well, I need to see what I can find that'll work for it, pipe that's going to go with this. Now I say I have to find what I can use for it, because yes, I have pieces here that would be rounded, but the problem is the pieces that are available are all on a grid. I need pieces that are not on a grid. So that is sort of where I am going to have to see what is available to me. I don't need door, but I did need freeform here. Or grid props. Yeah, I need freeform props, I think, instead. Yeah, so these are the options that I have. I do have like this curved decorative piece, but trying to use that so many times to make the length of this pipe would be just insane, I think. And so I don't really feel like that's going to work too well. I'm going to probably look on the workshop and see if there's something that I could find that will work a bit better for what I'm wanting to do here. Because as I said, what I'm wanting is I want to create my own pipe coming down. There's not going to be a lot in this pipe, but I do want it to look very man-made until at least this last area. I might leave this area just as it is here, because the last bit isn't in a sewer really. So I do want it to sort of be organic looking and natural as they plunge down that last little bit. But then on the lift hill, again, I do want that sort of in a pipe. And on that one, I do plan on adding some other things in. Because the whole point on this ride is, this ride, I am going to guarantee people are going to get soaked on it. It's not just about the splashes at the bottom of the drops and such, but it is going to be about. I'm sort of taking inspiration from Popeye and Bluto's Bilge Barge, I think it's called, at Universal Studios. If you've ever experienced it, it is a whitewater rapids type ride where you have the sort of circular boats, but it is not just the rapids. They have pipes, they have plumbing all over the place that will shoot you with water. There's pretty much no seat on the entire ride that will make it out unscathed. You are pretty much guaranteed to be soaked from head to foot. And you know what? I love that. I love the fact that it is such a wet ride. It is great that way. I think it's exactly how a ride like that should be. And I want to take some inspiration from that. So on this lift hill coming out of here, we're going to have a lot of water. And I mean a lot of water. So basically, I'm going to have it where there are sewer pipes that come on and spray, and basically all of these things are going to be triggerable events that are going to soak the rider as they're coming out of here. And that's just on this portion. Once that's sort of done, this portion can be sealed up, and then we'll start working on the above ground portions, which means areas like over here where there's going to be more water available. I know at least one of the scenes here is going to get people wet. Then, as I said, I've got to work on redoing this area because I think I want to make this sort of Stan's house at a point over here. I don't know. It's one of those. I guess the way I could do it is have that battle with it as children there, and I could put Stan's house over here. I guess that would work because I sort of like the bridge being located where it is over here. The Kissing Bridge works better over there than it would over here. So I might go ahead and leave this as the way it is and just put sort of Stan's house as like an end scene to sort of show it's not over yet. Nothing has been finished yet. I might go with that. So I'll think about that a bit more. As I said, the next episode is going to be trying to get the pipe work in for both the drop over here and the incline over here. We'll see if I can get that done, hopefully in one episode, and then if I'm able to get it to where I want, then we're going to seal up this hole we have in the ground so we can really start working on the actual location itself, because everything else is going to be pretty much above ground now. So, I mean, we do have this area here which is technically not above ground, but this area is not going to get dug deeper or anything like that. It is going to be the way it is. Any of the below ground stuff will then start to be covered over, and we'll be dealing with things at sort of the surface level. So with that in mind, if you enjoyed what I did in this episode, please go ahead and click that like button. And if you've not already, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so that you're aware when I produce new videos in the future. Thank you. And I hope to see you all back for more of Planet Coaster, my Warner Brothers Studios park, and for Welcome to Derry.